Podcast commentary on the Song of Songs, chapter 1, verse 4. Draw me after you. Let us make haste. The King has brought me into his chambers. We will exult and rejoice in you. We will extol your love more than wine. Rightly do they love you. The maiden speaks, and the call from her to her beloved begins with a desperate request to be drawn speedily towards him. Her first words are directed towards her beloved, and are words which are a demand rather than a desire, as they come from a determination to be found by him. She tells her beloved that she has been brought into the king's chamber, and this is clearly not her beloved's chamber, but it seems to signify a worldly king with worldly wealth. She is seeking spiritual sustenance and love from her beloved, not worldly riches or opulent splendor. She is calling to her beloved, not to the king. She is calling her beloved to take her away in haste. She has found herself in a place in which she is uncomfortable, the wrong place, in the same way as Bathsheba had been when David, Solomon's father, seduced her. In the story of Bathsheba, we see that she was in the right place in a mikveh, bathing after her monthly period. But it was the wrong time in the sense that King David, who was himself in the wrong place, by intention, saw her bathing. David should have been at war, but had stayed behind and seduced Bathsheba, causing a string of events which resulted in the death of Bathsheba's husband. The maiden is calling to her beloved to direct her to a place in the spiritual realm where she can find him, and away from a place where, like Bathsheba, she is vulnerable to the ways of man's fleshly desires. You can sense the anxiety in her words, telling her beloved that the king, someone who in natural terms she could not disobey, brought her to his palace, a place where her soul can't find rest. She knows she will only find rest and be protected in the loving arms of her beloved. Her use of the term we is used to show that she is speaking not only for herself alone, but also for the maidens, and that the purpose of her being drawn is to exult and rejoice in the magnificence of her beloved before others. The goal is to praise and extol God above all. She also affirms the love of the maidens for her beloved. For the bride of the Messiah, there can never be an earthly destination, only a divine destination, containing the already laden wedding banquet. And within our souls, we feel that need to make haste to that great celebration. The Shulamite calls to her beloved to draw her towards him. And for the Jewish people, there can be no other place than their homeland in the presence of God and surrounded by his glory in the temple in Jerusalem. God is now in the process of drawing the Jews back home after such a long period of exile. This drawing nature is arising within the souls of Jews all over the world, a desire to return to their homeland and to follow the Torah once again. Although something like 70% of Jews in Israel are secular, each time I visit, I sense amongst the younger generation a drawing of the soul back to God and the Torah. This growing sense of passion for the ways of their forefathers is evident amongst the younger generation of Jews, and there is an openness to show the world that they themselves are now calling out to God. In the natural, their calling to be drawn back to God may be the first signs of revival, but in spiritual terms, it is the return of the adulterous wife, Israel, to her loving, forgiving, and faithful husband, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Shabbat Shalom Mike Fryer.